Hi quilting friends, it's Linda Nitson with Sewing 101. Let me show you today how to make the Sawtooth Star. Now the Sawtooth Star is considered a 9-patch construction, but it is, however, an uneven 9-patch, and let me show you why. So on an even 9-patch construction, the blocks across would all measure the same size. But because this is uneven, we're talking about on a 12-inch block, 12 and a half unfinished, we've got a 3.5 and a 3.5 in the corner, and then the center segment is a 6.5-inch block, which would mean that this piece here that's going to make the star blades measures 3.5 by 6.5. Now today we're going to make that unit, and it's called the Flying Geese unit. And the Flying Geese unit is comprised of a 3.5 by 6.5 rectangle of background fabric and two 3.5-inch squares of a star blade fabric. So in this case I have a background here, I have a predominant color here, and then I have a coordinating star blade fabric, which is this here. On each one of the star blades, and you will need a total of 4 3.5 by 6.5 rectangles and a total of 8 3.5-inch squares. Okay, on the back side of each square, you're going to draw one diagonal line across the block. And on that diagonal line, you're going to place it on right sides together. Let me put some pins in and then I'll show you. Onto the background fabric. And it's important that the diagonal line go across the block and not, I'll show you. It's going to replace the corner of that rectangle. So you see how I've put that on there. Now if your diagonal goes this way, for the first one actually it is okay. If you have a directional print, you're going to be mindful of how that goes. But for this, you'll be okay. So I'm going to use that line as a sew line, not a cut line, okay? So we're going to sew right on that line. If you're starting from the corner and you have trouble with your machine eating the thread or eating the corner of your block, then go ahead and use a leader piece, which is just a scrap of fabric that you will start sewing on and then lead right into the corner of your Flying Geese unit block. So I'm just going to sew that real fast, and then I'm going to show you how it replaces that corner. So I'm going to take out my pins. Okay, so I've sewn right on that line. Now what I'm going to do is audition to make sure that the piece that I've sewn actually replaces that corner. And if it doesn't, here's where you can fix it. So if it doesn't replace it perfectly, so there it is, then unsew and reposition your fabric so that it does replace that. Okay, so now that I've got it that it's going to replace that piece, I'm going to pull that back again, revealing the square and the background piece, and I'm going to trim away 1/4 inch away from that seam. Now I can use scissors or I can use my rotary cutter and ruler. Either one works, but you want to get at least 1/4 inch away. Just get that off of there. And so now it's going to look like this, and you're going to give that a hot press so that it replaces that corner. Okay, now we have one of them sewn. The next, we're going to use that second square piece, 3.5-inch square, and we're going to put it on the other side of our rectangle. Now this one has to go on in the corner. I'm going to put some pins in here real fast, and then I'm going to show you where that goes, because if you sew it on in the wrong direction, now it will matter. The first one doesn't matter. You pretty much can't go wrong on that. But the second one has a definite position. All right, I always put 3 pins in because you are sewing on the diagonal, which is considered the bias. If you don't think 3 is enough, go ahead and put a 4th one in, as I'm going to do right here. Okay, so now I have this other piece. Now this is going to replace this corner here, just like we did here. So if your diagonal at this point goes this way, you're not making the right block. So it needs to go across so that you will addition, and then this will replace and go over the corner. Okay, go ahead and sew right on that line. And again, if you need that leader piece, go ahead. Notice particularly that these two pieces overlap right here at the top. You need them to overlap. Okay. That helps us with our 1/4 inch seam allowance and allows us, when we sew the block together, to have that perfect point. All right, so let's go ahead and sew that. Nice and easy. Stay on the line all the way to the corner. Okay, remove your pins. Truth time. Fold it back. Make sure that it fills in that space perfectly. Okay, I'm going to show you that. Ooh, it looks good to me. Okay, let's go ahead and trim that away at a 1/4 inch away from the seam. I am using a rotary cutter again, but you can use a pair of scissors, is fine. And then go ahead and hit it with a hot iron. Keep that piece in place. And now you have made one of the Flying Geese units. Now you'll repeat that 3 times so that you'll have 4 units, and it's this piece right here. See that? Whoops! Love it. Now you have all the ingredients to make your own sawtooth. Let me refresh again. 3.5 inch squares. You need 4 of them, 1 for each corner. 3.5 inch squares. You need 1 6.5 inch square in the center. You need 4 background pieces, 3.5 by 6.5 rectangles, and you need 8 3.5 inch squares that will go for the saw blades. All right, happy quilting, folks. Thanks for watching.